Hi, I'm Christina, and this is a book review of Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So this is her brand new release, published this year in 2022, and it's a historical fiction novel. So this is my fourth book by the author. I read Malibu Rising first, which I absolutely loved. That was a definite 5-star read for me. And then I read One True Loves, which again, I absolutely loved, another 5-star read. And then I tried to read Maybe in Another Life, but I didn't really like that one and I DNF'd it. So I went into this one with very high expectations, and I have to say it did not disappoint. I really enjoyed my time with this book, and it's another 5-star read for me from Taylor Jenkins Reid. So this book is about Carrie Soto, who is a retired tennis player. She's 37 years old, and now she is back to defend her title. So the book spans in time from 1955 to 1996, and we watch Carrie's entire return to the world of tennis. And the major theme of this book is definitely tennis, and I have to say it did take me a little bit of time to kind of settle into all of the tennis, and it definitely took me a little bit of time to just kind of sink into the story. So it was definitely a bit of a slow burn for me, but once I was really into the book and once I was invested, I absolutely loved it. And yeah, I just thought it was absolutely wonderful. So there was a time in the book when I thought it really was just going to be about tennis, but it really is about so much more than that. It's about relationships, it's about love, it's about families, it's about grief. And I think the relationship that is focused on most in this story is the relationship that Carrie has with her father. And her father is also her coach for the majority of her career. And I think this relationship is really central to this story. And I have to say, I really love the way in which their relationship came across on the page, the way in which it was developed over time. And I just thought, yeah, I thought that relationship was done so beautifully, and you just couldn't help but feel connected to these characters. And I think that was my favourite part of the story, to feel the relationship between her and her father grow over the years, and just kind of the ups and downs and, you know, everything that came along with that. And I have to say, I thought it was a very emotional read. I thought it was very moving, and it definitely did bring me to tears. I think Taylor Jenkins Reid just has a way, the way in which she just kind of makes her characters come across on the page. I just connect to them so well, and I was so invested in this story, so connected to these characters, and yeah, I really wanted the best for them. I just couldn't help but root for Carrie the more that I got to know her. So yeah, I would highly recommend this book. I thought it was absolutely wonderfully done. So normally I don't really like books that are pretty much focused on sport. It's just not something that I'm particularly interested in, with the exception of Bear Town by Frederick Backman, which is very much focused on ice hockey, which is one of my favourite books of all time. Otherwise, I'm not really interested in that kind of theme in a story. But I absolutely loved it in this, and again, this is another exception to the rule for me. I think the best books I've ever read where sport is the main theme is definitely this one and Bear Town, like I just mentioned. And yeah, it really did something. So I know very little about tennis, barely anything at all, and yet I couldn't help fall in love with the sport by the way in which she describes it and the way in which Carrie plays tennis. And there were times when we see her match literally play out minute by minute, and I was just absolutely gripped and rooted to the spot and just waiting to see what was going to happen. Some of those matches between some of the characters, I was literally on the edge of my seat, trying to see, you know, who was going to get the next point, who was going to win the set, who was going to win overall. And yeah, it actually made me really appreciate tennis as a sport when it's something I know so little about. So I definitely think that just shows how excellent of a writer Taylor Jenkins Reid really is. She's either a massive tennis fan herself, or she has done so much research. And yeah, it just comes alive on the page. I think you're reading this and the matches just feel so real, and the atmosphere and the crowds and just the waiting to see who's going to get those final rounds, those final points. And yeah, I thought it was really, really well done. So this story really focuses on ambition and drive and passion, and I think those themes are explored very little actually in literature, so it was really nice and refreshing to have a main character, especially a main female character, who really did have so much drive and so much ambition, and just seeing the way in which she was 100% going for what she wanted. And I thought that was really, really interesting. Obviously, Carrie at one point was the best tennis player in the world. She had the title for most Grand Slam titles, and that is what she is trying to defend. And to think that Carrie really puts everything she has and everything she is into tennis at the expense of basically everything else in her life. She doesn't really particularly have friends, she doesn't really have relationships, she doesn't really travel and have holidays, she doesn't really have any other hobbies or passions or interests. This really is everything for Carrie. So it was really great to see how when someone's kind of 100% focused on one specific thing, and to know that they might lose that when obviously she's trying to defend the title against the up-and-coming new younger players. To just see how she's going to deal with that, how she's going to accept it, if she's ever going to overcome that. And yeah, I thought it was really, really interesting to see all the emotions of Carrie and just see her psyche, see her personality. We really get to know her very, very well as a character. And also, we've basically grown up with her on the page. We see Carrie as she is very, very young, from the very first time that she picks up a tennis racket and her dad is kind of throwing balls at her and being shocked when she can return them, and going inside and telling the mum about it for the very first time, until the very end of the story. I mean, we already know from the beginning that she is, you know, the world's best female tennis player at the beginning, and then obviously we need to know what's going to happen on her comeback, and is she going to be able to regain her title. And that's obviously what the whole story is about, to just see how far Carrie is willing to go and how far she can go. So yeah, I thought it was absolutely excellent. I think out of all of the books that I've read by Taylor Jenkins Reid, I think this one is my second favourite. So I think my favourite is definitely Malibu Rising. I mean, I obviously read that one first, so perhaps it's a little bit biased because obviously the first one you read is probably going to stick with you. But then yeah, I think in terms of ranking, it's Malibu Rising first, and then Carrie Soto is back second, and then One True Love's third, and Moving Another Life just kind of unranked because it just wasn't really for me. I'm very much looking forward to reading her other bigger books as well, so The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones and the Six, and I do actually own both of them. I'm just kind of keeping them. I'm going to be reading them one day because I think I'm going to really enjoy them. So yeah, and I will absolutely be reading whatever she publishes next. She's definitely an auto-buy author for me now, and she's definitely someone that I'm going to keep following. I'm definitely going to read her new releases. So yeah, highly recommend this book. Definitely a 5-star read. Very connected to the characters, very moving, very emotional. It did make me cry, and I thought it was brilliant. So thank you so much for watching. Please do like the video if you've liked it, and please do subscribe if you'd like to see more from me. Now, I would love to know your thoughts on this down in the comments if you have read it. If you've read any of her other books, I'd love to know what you think of those too. And if you've read Daisy Jones and the Six and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, let me know which one you think I should pick up next, because it's going to be between those two for me from now. So let me know which one you think I should read next. All right then. See you in my next one. Bye.